This is the Business Today, and I'm Vic Fernandes. Agriculture is big business, and local officials have been finding new ways to attract more young people to the sector. Earlier this year, the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries partnered with the Barbados Renewable Energy Association to initiate a series of workshops. One of those was focused on the agribusiness industry. And today, as part of their training, the 20 participants between the ages of 16 and 35 visited the Solar Grow Belle Plaine St. Andrew site, where a solar-cooled greenhouse research project is being set up. The project is being funded under the UNDP. There, the students got more information and a first-hand view of how solar photovoltaic can be incorporated into farming. Program Officer, the Barbados Coalition of Service Industries, Michia Clark, says so far the response by the farmers has been tremendous.
One of the key components in terms of which I could take away from the program was the information dissemination. In terms of a lot of the participants were started off interested in solar PV, but they didn't know in terms of actually practical understanding of it. Do I really need a solar PV system? What are the first steps in going about getting the solar PV system? How do I finance the costing of getting the solar PV system? How do I do the entrepreneurship aspect to see, is it something that is practical and applicable to my business? So what the training provided, which was a dual between both theory and face-to-face training, which we had today, and the practical aspect, which is the field trip assignment, which allowed persons to have a first understanding in terms of a lot of those initial questions that they need to have, and now in terms of the practicability, in terms of how the system could be beneficial and of use to them in their various areas.
The program, which forms part of the National Human Resource Development Strategy within the Ministry of Labour, will officially end on August 19th. Clark says the farmers will then be monitored and evaluated, and an assessment will be carried out following a report and other initiatives.
So the students are going to have a practical application in terms of how the software is going to be used, what type of tools, what type of materials are being used. A number of these climate control greenhouse sites have been established across the world, and this is one which is being established right here in our backyard in Barbados.
Local agriculture operators and food manufacturers are being put on notice that a number of new guidelines and regulations will be coming for the sector. The disclosure from Dr. Beverly Wood, Project Coordinator of the National Agricultural Health and Food Control Agency, which falls under the Ministry of Agriculture. She was addressing the opening of a two-day workshop put on by the Inter-American Institute of Cooperation on Agriculture and the U.S. Department of Agriculture at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center earlier this week. She says the changes seek to ensure better food safety practices among operators, while regulators will be responsible for closer monitoring and enforcement of rules in order to control or eliminate threats.
We are also improving our inspection and enforcement services at ports of entry, on farms, on fishing vessels, at abattoirs, and therefore are in the process of providing import-export manuals and such like to be able to have a transparent process for these inspection processes. We also are looking to improve our laboratory services to enable the diagnosis of pests, diseases, and pathogens, analysis of samples for chemical and microbiological contaminants. We have over the years have a problem with some of our laboratories and they need replacing. We are in the process of looking for funds to provide us with enhanced laboratory services, but the labs continue to operate employing good practices and also engage in proficiency samples to assure some of the results that they generate. We are also looking at our quarantine services and our control and recovery system.
There is tremendous opportunity for real estate development in Bridgetown. So says real estate veteran Paul Altman. The managing director of Altman Real Estate says there are a number of old buildings in the city that could easily be transformed. He believes the promised incentives under the Cultural Industries Development Act should entice more people to take up the challenge of putting some of those old structures to better use to further develop the island's heritage market. Now for today's financial tip. When you get paid, It is not a bad idea to put something aside for yourself before you do anything else. That's been the business today. Join us again next Tuesday. Until then, you can get more business and news by logging on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribing to our e-paper, and liking us on Facebook. I'm Vic Fernandez.